Here are 7 mistakes that students make that cost them their grades in school, and exactly how to get them solved. Number 1, rereading instead of recalling. I can say this 1,001 times and still not get tired of saying them, because these are the mistakes that we made that nobody told us about, and I'm here showing you the secrets. Many times we reread. Yes, I did it a number of times, and a lot of us are doing it too. To continue to read and read and read and reread the same thing over and over again. Yes, there is a lot of benefits in rereading. It makes it very easy for you to get familiar with that very topic. But you see, when it comes to exam, it is the one who is able to recall faster that actually gets the grades. That is one thing about examination. You have to have the ability to recall. So the first mistake students make is rereading instead of recalling. How do you remedy this? First, pay attention to how much you can recall each time you read. The person that read 10 times is obviously better than the person that read a course or a subject once. But what about reading 10 times and you can only recall 50% of everything you have read, and the person that read once can recall 70%? Have you seen that it's not really about rereading, even though rereading is very good, but it is more important you learn how to recall what you have read. That is one gone. Number 2, cramming before your exam. Yes, I said that. Cramming the night before your exam. Several of us fell victim of that, and I can assure you it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well at all. The best it can give you is a C. You can't be an A student with cramming the night before your exam. Yes, we can accept that if you met yourself in an emergency situation, but there's no student that gets, no examiner examines you under duress or in emergency situation, except you never started reading on time. So cramming the night before your exam is one pitfall that every student who does want to get an A should not even fall into, should not even get into. Don't cram the night before your exam. Please and please and please and please. Attend your lectures, take your classes very seriously, and begin to revise long before the exam. In fact, the night before your exam, what you should be doing is to discuss more the night before your exam. Discuss the topics you know more. So what you should do that night is try to sit with a friend or somebody you discuss with, or the group you discuss with. Try to bring up topics that you perceive might be coming out in the exam and discuss it more. So what do you think about this topic? Then hear people say, hear the different opinions that people have to bring about it. Then after the discussion, take 1 to 2 hours, sit down, get your jotter, and begin to rewrite every of those things you can remember into your notebook. By doing that, once you get into the exam more, you give your brain the opportunity to be able to recall and give yourself the ability to be able to reiterate. That's number 2. Then for number 3, highlighting everything inside your note. What? Why do you highlight everything inside your notes? You should be highlighting key points. When you highlight everything inside your notes, once you meet that note, something just tells your brain, this is a lot and I can't carry it, and it shuts down. But when you highlight key points, once you pick that note, your brain immediately cites the key points, and that key point registers somewhere in your subconscious, registers somewhere in your mind. So the moment you get a question that links to that highlights, that key point you highlighted, your brain immediately brings it up to your remembrance and tells you, I've met this before. Number 4, studying without practicing questions. Please, how do you test how much you have retained if you do not get past questions or even preempted questions, like questions you created by yourself, you curated by yourself from what you're reading? I always tell my students, when you read anything you read, ask yourself, what is the possible questions my lecturer can set from this particular topic? This is why I advise students never to miss lectures, because when you sit under various lecturers, you can know exactly the things that interest those lecturers. For instance, I tell my students, I don't need you to give me word for word what I taught you. You are not a computer. What I need you to do is to prove to me that you understood what I taught you. It doesn't matter the English you are speaking. It doesn't, as long as you don't go outside or the terminologies of that particular course, all right? But it doesn't matter how you choose to explain it. I read every of my students' exams. I do not look for word. You don't need to give me word for word. No, I just need you to prove to me that you understood what I taught. So you see, I am different from a lecturer that might want you to give them verbatim what is inside their handouts. I am not that kind of lecturer. So this is how you find what exactly you need in answering the question. You need to find out what exactly does this lecturer want. Is it the kind of lecturer that loves bulk? For instance, while I was in my undergraduate, during my undergraduate days, I had a lecturer that tells us that if you like answer this whole world and you do not attach a diagram, you are not getting any score from me. You can never get the full score. I already know that for this lecturer, even if I give him only diagrams, I've already gotten half of my mark already. So when I'm practicing, what will I do? I will focus on the diagrams because I know this is what this lecturer wants. So somebody like me, you give me only diagrams, you do not explain the diagram. Sorry, I don't know what you are doing with diagrams. Explain it. Yes, diagram, you will get your mark for a diagram, no doubt. But you need to explain the diagram. So I'll be sure you know your diagram. So you see, this is why you have to always be in lectures. I'm going to get that. It's another point we'll get to. But what I'm trying to explain in this particular point is that you need to, everything you read, curate questions from it. And you cannot curate question if you cannot enter into the mind of your lecturer. So enter into the mind of your lecturer and know the kind of questions this woman or this man can bring out from this particular topic I am reading. That is number 4. All right. Now, number 5. Please and please and please attend your lectures. Don't miss lectures. It is while you attend lecture, many lecturers have already given you half of their exam questions from their lecture. That's the truth, because they feel these students must know this. So when they come to class, they emphasize it. But no, you do not pay attention to those things they emphasize. That particular thing is a mistake several students make. You need to pay attention to what your lecturers emphasize on. Anything you see they do not really emphasize on, why do you spend all your life while preparing for exams studying that particular thing? It means the lecturer does not consider it important. And mind you, another lecturer can come and consider that very thing that the other lecturer considered unimportant as important. So you see, several lecturers have several things they emphasize on. This is why you must know your lecturers and you must try as much as you can to attend lecture. Any lecture you miss, I beg you, you can tell a friend to record the lectures for you. Tell them to record it so you can hear. It's not just their notes. That is the 6th pitfall I'm going to get to. Don't copy someone else's notes. When you copy somebody else's notes, you are copying someone else's mindset, not really what the lecturer said. For instance, when I write, especially when the note was explained or jotted, because of course in the higher institutions, what we do not actually write on the board for students, or no, we explain and then they write what they understand. At best, we dictate notes. All right, so I personally write what I understand. I understood from what the lecturer is saying. Several persons like to take my notes because my notes is, I will explain and even explain what the lecturer did not say because that was what I understood. Do you understand? So, but if you pick a note of somebody who does not write that way, who just writes anyone I can write, I write, you will not be able to follow the lectures completely like that. So the best thing is to tell the person, please use your phone, record this lecture for me. It's a 1-hour lecture, record it, record 1-hour lecture, send it to the person and then delete it from your phone if you don't have space. So the person delete it from your phone after sending it to me if you don't have space so that I can get. Then listen to the lecturer yourself. Listen to the emphasis he made. Very, very important. So the last point I'll be making now is memorizing without understanding. Memorizing without understanding. A lot of us, very large number of us, make this very mistake. How do you memorize what you do not understand, for God's sake? So you were taught something or you read something, you do not understand it though. You don't even know how this thing works. You just say, I beg, they just say A and they just say A and B. They just say A and B met together and form C. But let me just take it like that. You took it like that. That's why you always forget in your exam hall, because when you cannot explain it, your brain finds it difficult to recall. So what you should do is, when you are studying and you do not understand, try to understand. That is where YouTube channels and some of these online, all of these things comes in place. And then that is where visual aids also come into places. You have things like your video, watching videos. These things makes it possible for you to understand any term that is taught. So you were taught, for instance, anatomy of the cell. You do not understand it and you just crammed it. No, You need to go and get diagrams. You need to go and get videos. You need to go and get things that would explain it to you so you can understand. When you people think memorizing what they don't understand is easier for them, but no, understanding makes it easy for you, because when you understand, you don't even need to always try to recall again. You know why? Because you have an understanding of that fact. So whenever that word comes, whenever that statement comes, whenever that topic comes, suddenly, because you understand it, it becomes easy for you to just explain it. So labor to understand better. Labor to understand better. When it's impossible to understand, you can memorize, but understanding makes it easier for you. Understanding makes memorization easier for you. Don't memorize what you have not yet understood. That will be cramming. Understand first before trying to memorize. So thank you very much. If this was very helpful, if you found this content very helpful, please do well to subscribe to our channel. Please do well to share to your classmates, share to those that will need it, and also do well to comment and engage in the comment section so that this video can get to a lot of persons. We'll see you in our next video. Bye.